What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on Peg City Hockey. Earlier this week, it was announced that Rick Bowness is officially retiring from being an NHL coach, and it is kind of, surprising in my opinion. I didn't expect this news right away. He has a team option this year. I didn't expect the Jets to really pick him up on that option, but at the same time, nonetheless, he is a Jack Adams nominee this year for Coach of the Year, and he did help the Jets go on for an incredible season. I know, very disappointing first-round exit, but nonetheless, this is a guy that's been a head coach for a lot of different teams and has been in the NHL, for a very, very, very long time. You look at that right there, 38 years in the NHL, and he has the most amount of games spent behind a bench, regardless of position, assistant, associate, whatnot. Over 2,700 games in the NHL for Bowness, combined with all of the positions that he's been. So the guy's been around, and without a doubt has been instrumental in installing very good cultures wherever he goes. That's the one thing that every former player of Rick Bowness can testify, is how good of a coach he really is at relating to you, connecting with you, and building a relationship on and off the ice. It really sucks that he was never able to win that Stanley Cup. He got very close with Dallas a couple of years ago, but I think what I want to focus this video on isn't necessarily the career and accolades of Rick Bowness, because there are so many. The guy was an all-star this year as well for the team. He was just all around so impactful for us in these last two seasons, and without a doubt was instrumental in turning the ship around and building a culture, building an identity, and helping the Jets really find themselves and becoming a consistent team, And I know that, again, the first-round exit stinks. Don't get me wrong. And last year's first-round exit to Vegas stings as well, but in a different way, because that team was not very good. But this year, they were so good, and that was a lot of credit that to Bowness. And at the same time, even though Bowness built this team up into what they were, the success they had, he also kind of was their downfall at the end of things. His stubbornness, his lack of flexibility, I would like to call it, between the lines and adjusting his system, really ended up being the final nail in the coffin against the Colorado Avalanche after game 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what now for the Winnipeg Jets? They're going to have to go out and find a head coach who is well loved by a head coach that is well loved by the players is left. So now they have to go out and find somebody, and not only find somebody that will fit well for the systems and the players they have, but also with the culture that they've built. And that's why I find this whole situation quite interesting, because I really like what Rick Bowness has done with this room, and I don't really want to see too much of a change in direction from what this team currently, the trajectory they're on right now, with the culture, with the prospects, with the core and whatnot. And I think the really obvious candidate for the next head coach is an internal hire, and that's promoting assistant coach Scott Arniel to head coach. That Scott Arniel is a guy this year who, when Rick Bowness had to take leaves of absences because of his wife's health and because of his own health at times, Scott Arniel stepped up, and the players bought into the systems he had. The lines were good. The Jets went on a killer win streak with him as well behind the bench, and Arniel just fit really well. And I think when they hired Scott Arniel to be an associate coach and the assistant, I think they hired him with the intentions of knowing that Rick Bowness wouldn't be here necessarily in the long term. And, that's the type of guy that they want to go forward with. And I know that there's been some rumors out there revolving around, Dave Hextall's and, Jay Woodcroft's and stuff like that. I don't necessarily think that happens. I think the Jets are a pretty well-run organization when it comes to this type of stuff. So obviously they're going to do their due diligence and, maybe listen to some options they have, look across the board. But I think Scott Arniel will be the guy going forward. The players trust him. The players know him. They believe in the systems. And, if you move out guys, if you can really, build around what's already here, I think is probably the better option than going out and trying to get a coach that has failed already in this league. And I think Arniel could be what this team, could be looking for as a new opportunity for him as well at the head coaching position. So I think that is the best route to go. Again, I just like what Bowness has been able to do with the culture. I know the on-ice sucks that we lost and all that, but Rick Bowness, it was instrumental. I cannot say that enough about turning the ship around. And I think that Scott Arniel, and it would be the right guy to go forward, get rid of the power play coach, fix some things like that, and bring in some new guys that he can bring in. When you brought Bowness in, he brought in his guys, and now that Bowness is gone, Arniel could take over and bring in some of his own guys and change the elements of this team that were their weakest this season, the power play, inconsistencies in goal scoring, really work on that, balance out the lines, get some youth in there. That's what the Jets need going forward. This team is loaded still. You look at the prospects, who we're going to be talking about in a couple of days. When you look at just Brad Lambert and Nikita Chibrikov alone, those two guys could make this team next year. I know that sounds crazy, and probably some of you out there that don't think so, but look how good they played alone in that game against the Canucks, the final game of the season. I know that was a nothing game where the Canucks had pretty much everyone scratched as well as we, but at the end of the day, they still played fantastic. And, they were fantastic all year round with the Manitoba Moose. So, at the end of the day, this team is loaded for the future, and I think bringing up the prospects and keeping a guy that this team already knows in Scott Arniel is the best bet. Bringing in another head coach, a new guy that the team has to get to know. You already lost Paul Maurice, then it was Dave Lowry, then it was Rick Bowness, and, now what? Is it going to be someone else, or is it going to be Scott Arniel? I think Scott Arniel probably is the best bet. Obviously, there are some other options out there. I'm also down for a new hire that hasn't coached in the NHL before. I'm always down for something like that. I don't necessarily like the NHL and a lot of these professional leagues always go back to coaches that have been fired, have had losing records, that haven't necessarily found, immense success in the league. But nonetheless, I think Arniel will probably be a lock almost at this point for it. I know there's been some rumors out there, but I really believe that Scott Arniel was hired with the sole intent of becoming a head coach for this team down the line. Dave Lowry was never the long-term guy, and they realized that, so that's why they hired a guy in Arniel that could actually become a coach for them long-term. It could grow into this role, and Arniel also played for the Jets back in the day, as well as Bowness. You know how True North loves to have that Winnipeg connection from the S8, from the back in the 1.0 era with the 2.0, so I think it makes just too much sense, and besides, Arniel also fit in really well with this team when they went on their win streaks, and earlier on, like I said, when Bowness wasn't healthy and he wasn't with his team and he had to take his leave of absences, Arniel stepped up, and I think he is the guy that will get the job, in my opinion. So why don't you let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Who do you think the next coach of the Winnipeg Jets will be? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, check out all the affiliate links down in the description below. Peace, love, and positivity as always. Hope you guys are all enjoying the Stanley Cup playoffs with whatever bandwagon team you're rooting for. Go Canucks, go, because why not? I'm out in Vancouver. With that being said, peace, love, and positivity as always. Go Jets, go! And I'll see you guys in the next one.